Today, we're diving into a topic that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi blockbuster, but it's as real as it gets: the United States Space Force. Now, I know what you're thinking. Space Force? Are they recruiting astronauts to fight aliens or what? Well, not quite, but it's still pretty mind-blowing. Stick with me as we unravel the mysteries of the US Space Force and why it's both exciting and a tad bit terrifying. Picture this: the United States Space Force, or USSF for short, is not your typical military branch. It's the world's first ever space force, soaring through the cosmos as part of the United States Armed Forces. Cozying up with the U.S. Air Force, it's like the dynamic duo of the Department of the Air Force with the Secretary of the Air Force leading the charge. And just to add a sprinkle of prestige, the big shots in the Space Force are none other than the Chief of Space Operations and the Vice Chief of Space Operations. They're like the space generals, if you will. Now let's break down the USSF's mission, and trust me, it's a mission that sounds straight out of a sci-fi script. According to the United States Space Force Act, these space warriors are organized, trained, and equipped for a three-pronged attack, providing freedom of operation for the United States in, from, and to space, conducting space operations, and protecting the interests of the United States in space. The Department of Defense throws in its 2 cents, emphasizing the Space Force's responsibilities like a space superhero's to-do list. They're here to provide freedom of operation in the cosmic realm, carry out prompt and sustained space operations, protect U.S. interests in space, deter aggression in, from, and to space, and of course, conduct space operations. Did I mention space operations? Because they really like space operations. Now let's talk about the Space Force's Holy Grail, their Capstone Doctrine released in August 2020, titled Spacepower, Doctrine for Space Forces. It's like their space Bible, detailing their 3 cornerstone responsibilities that are the glue holding the space empire together. First up, we have preserve freedom of action. Imagine space as a dance floor, and the Space Force is making sure the US has the slickest moves, keeping access to and freedom to operate in space. It's all about accomplishing the 4 components of national power: diplomatic, information, military, and economic, in space. Think of it as the Space Force's way of saying, we've got the cosmic rhythm. Next on the list, we've got enable joint lethality and effectiveness. Space capabilities aren't just for show, they beef up operations in other warfare domains, making sure the US flexes its muscles across the board. It's like having a secret weapon that makes everything else work better. The Space Force operates hand in hand with the Joint Force, covering all bases in the military operations game. Last but certainly not least, there's provide independent options. The Space Force isn't just a sidekick to land, sea, air, and cyber power. It's a star in its own right. Picture this: the ability to independently achieve strategic effects. Imagine this: the United States Space Force, the world's first ever space force, cruising through the cosmos as part of the U.S. Armed Forces. They're not just playing space cadet, they're on a mission, armed with the responsibility to provide freedom of operation for the U.S. in, from, and to space. It's like they've taken space exploration to a whole new level. And trust me, it's not just about stargazing. So what's the game plan? According to the United States Space Force Act, they're organized, trained, and equipped for a cosmic showdown. Picture this as a 3-dimensional chess game, with moves like providing freedom of operation, conducting space operations, and protecting the interests of the United States in space. But here's where it gets real: the Space Force's 5 military space power core competencies. First up, we've got space security. It's like their cosmic bouncer, ensuring that space activities for the civil, commercial, intelligence community, and multinational partners are safe and secure. Next in line is combat power projection. It's the Space Force's way of flexing cosmic muscles, integrating defensive and offensive operations to maintain freedom of action. Think of it as the ultimate space workout, deterring aggression or making an adversary do a cosmic double take. Now let's talk about space mobility and logistics, SML. It's like intergalactic movers and shakers, enabling the movement and support of military equipment and personnel across the space domain. From Earth to space and back, they're the cosmic logistics experts, ensuring everything runs smoother than a spaceship in warp speed. Information is power, even in space. Information mobility is all about the rapid and reliable collection and transportation of data across military operations. It's like the Space Force's data courier service, making sure decisions are made at the speed of light. Last but not least, we've got Space Domain Awareness, SDA. Imagine having eyes in the back of your head, but in space. It's about identifying, characterizing, and understanding anything that could mess with space operations, whether it's for security, safety, the economy, or the environment. They've got their cosmic radars on high alert. Now, why does all of this matter? Well, across the conflict continuum, the Space Force is providing national leadership with independent military operations. They're projecting power in, from, and to space, making sure the U.S. stays prosperous and secure. After World War II, military leaders like Henry H. Arnold envisioned space as crucial. The Air Force led, creating the first space organization in 1954. The Army and Navy soon followed, shaping early American rockets and spacecraft. Sputnik's launch turbocharged the military space efforts. Amidst a struggle for control, the Air Force took charge in 1961. In the Cold War, the Air Force led in space, but the Army and Navy had pivotal roles too. By 1962, the Navy stepped in as the first military space operations command, handling communication and navigation satellites. During the Vietnam War, space became integral. The Air Force deployed satellites for crucial support. Key military spacecraft emerged, like the Air Force's Defense Satellite Communications System and the Navy's Transit and Timation Navigation Satellites, aiding operations significantly. Now, let's talk about two heavyweights in the space game, Presidents Eisenhower and Kennedy. They weren't just leaders, they were cosmic visionaries. Both were cheerleaders for the United States' space programs, whether military or civil. In President Kennedy's iconic "We choose to go to the moon" speech, he dropped a truth bomb. Space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. It's not good or bad on its own. It depends on us, the cosmic pioneers. Kennedy, the space philosopher, went on to say, "Whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war depends on man." But here's the kicker. I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space. Just like we don't leave our homes unprotected, we can't leave the cosmic frontier wide open for mischief. In the 1960s, the military was pivotal in NASA's space missions. The Army and Air Force engineered key rockets like Redstone, Saturn I, and the revamped Atlas, crucial for space exploration. Beyond rocketry, military branches provided early astronauts and led astronaut rescue missions. The Air Force envisioned military spaceflight programs, citing Soviet orbital flights as catalysts. Projects like Boeing X-20 Dinosaur and Manned Orbiting Laboratory faced political hurdles, delaying their realization. However, the focus shifted to anti-satellite weaponry. The Air Force's Project Saint aimed at satellite neutralization but was scrapped in 1962 due to public disclosure. Simultaneously, the Army led missile defense, creating Nike Zeus for satellite interception, demonstrating its capabilities in 1963 before ending in 1964. Both branches showed readiness for cosmic defense. In the 60s, the Army's Nike Zeus ASAT transitioned to the Air Force's Program 437, a satellite intercept with a Thor missile. The program ended in '75, shaping military space operations. In the 80s, dissatisfaction within the Air Force led to the birth of Air Force Space Command in '82. President Reagan announced the United States Space Command in '85, with Air Force Space Command being a primary provider. Navy and Army Space Commands followed suit. The Strategic Defense Initiative spurred this cosmic shift, emphasizing military space. Tests like the ASM-135 anti-satellite missile in '85 showcased the military space capabilities, setting the stage for space warfare. Satellites like GPS, Milstar, and the Defense Support Program reshaped navigation and communication. The Navy's Fleet Satellite Communications System joined the cosmic ensemble. During the Persian Gulf War, satellites were crucial, providing communication, weather support, and early warnings. This era was dubbed the First Space War. However, debates arose about merging air and space forces. Senator Bob Smith proposed an independent space force, challenging the status quo and paving the way for change. In 2001, the Space Commission, led by Donald Rumsfeld, revealed a surprising finding. Few top leaders in space missions had space expertise. Most came from pilot or missile backgrounds, not space exploration. Their solution? No more exclusive pilot leadership for U.S. Space Command. They proposed diversifying leadership and suggested a separate Space Force as a military branch. Additionally, a Space Corps within the Air Force was recommended in 2011. This marked a pivotal moment, hinting at the imminent birth of a Space Force. It's not just about earthly battles anymore. It's about safeguarding our cosmic domain and beyond. And that's a wrap. So what do you think about this next step? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more.